Good afternoon. This is Mayor Jeff Schielke speaking on Friday, January 8th, 2021. And I have to watch myself. I'm still, half the time I'm living in last year, I keep saying 2020 and it's 2021. But I'd like to certainly begin this program on wishing everybody a Happy New Year, and that this returns to business as usual, not business of last year, because I've had a lot of people tell me they wish 2020 could just be erased from their memory, and because it was nothing that a lot of people had a lot of good memories about. So let's hope that we can turn that around. Let's start on that subject first. Obviously, we have developed a serum, we think, to give people shots to help keep the pandemic away from them. And the U.S. government is in charge of dispersing and distributing the shots, and I guess there's some conversations going on that Illinois didn't get as much shot serum as we were supposed to get, but hopefully there's more coming very quickly. So we have started doing some shot work. Our Batavia Police and Fire Departments have had the opportunity to get their shots, and some have decided not to get them, but most did. And so we've got those folks kind of taken care of. I know also the providers of care within the hospital programs are being shot, and the whole system, I think, is trying to put itself together. There's a meeting scheduled this next week between all the mayors in Kane County, where we hope to get more information about just what is going to be the time frame here. And certainly in the case of Batavia, where we do have a very large senior citizen community in this town, I've had a lot of conversations with folks who say, gee, when can I get my shot? And so our hope is that the priority is going to be that, certainly those who have some serious health issues should be included, but also that we start getting shots out to people in, say, the over 65 age group. And we will be in further programs that we will do here. I will try to keep everybody advised as to the latest information I have. I am told if you go to the website kanehealth.com, you can find some updated information from the Kane County Health Department. And I would note that the Kane County Health Department is the agency that is in charge of all health-related issues in Batavia. Batavia nor any of the other immediate surrounding cities have health departments. We are dependent on the Kane County Health Department to provide us with health services. And they have done, in my opinion, a very good job over the years in serving us and responding to issues that have come up, and everything from restaurant inspections to senior living communities to just general education for young people. They've done a nice job, so I'm going to give them a pat on the back for their good efforts in trying to deal with a situation that there was no previous ability to plan for it, or nobody was made aware until it was right upon us that it was happening. And so we'll get through it, but hopefully 2021 is going to be the year that we do that. And one of the things we would like to do, I don't have it on because if I put it on while I'm doing this, some people tell me they have a hard time understanding me, but we're still asking everybody to wear their face masks and to socially distance. And we do encourage everybody, specifically if you're in any of the stores, and most of the stores now have signs at their doors telling you you're not supposed to come in unless you have their mask on. And so we're trying to keep everybody socially distanced, and that the proper procedures are being followed to try to keep our numbers down in Batavia for anybody that is potentially struck by the pandemic. Just as another kind of sidebar issue, and it's not even an issue, but some experience I'd like to share with you is the name Batavia is, I believe, found on 8 cities in the United States of America. There's 8 states in total that have the name Batavia as a city or village within their state. And through courses of history, it used to be that Batavia, New York was probably the first Batavia and was the largest Batavia. Well, since things have happened, Batavia, Illinois is now the largest Batavia in the United States. And I guess that's something we should be proud about, but I will tell you that here at City Hall, myself and my current secretary and my former secretaries, who I've always been extremely well serviced by, all have stories about receiving calls where people are asking about, well, what time is the mayor going to be at the restaurant? or where's the mayor going to be at the ballroom, or wherever it's going to be, and the secretaries will sometimes scratch their head and say, I'm not familiar with what the location you're talking about. Well, you know, it's this location on such and such a street. And then they'll say, well, gee, we don't have a street by that name. Well, then they find out that they've Googled it or dialed it up or something, and they always, when you dial Batavia in the United States, I guess Batavia, Illinois is the first place that many of them go to. So needless to say, I've had secretaries that have lived the experience of referring people back to Batavia, New York, or Batavia, Ohio, or Batavia, Iowa. Batavia, Ohio is kind of unique in that they have a high school, and the name of the team, the sports team, is the Batavia Bulldogs. So that one's had some interesting involvements over the years between people confusing which Batavia Bulldogs that they're supporting. So we do have a lot of stuff that is problematic. The city offices are still, we're open every day, but we do have some guidance as to how we let people into the building, specifically into paying your bills or coming into the police station or the public works or the community development. But we are fully functional, and I'm very pleased that we can tell you that, and there shouldn't be any delay. But if there is, you can certainly call, and we do have somebody answering the phone, and we are with the police department in the building. We do have somebody in City Hall 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So there is somebody at City Hall at all times that can be here to help you out and help you direct or get you help or whatever you need. So the final situation is kind of a fun story I'd like to talk about that occurred this past week for the Rose Bowl parade, which I guess was on January 1st this year, or a week ago today, and it was on ABC TV. And apparently there was no, for all intent and purposes, as I understand it, there was no real Rose Bowl parade. ABC ran around with a camera crew, and all the schools who had been invited to march in the parade, the band specifically, they filmed the band playing one or two numbers, and then they would go to another school where a band had been invited and filmed. So they had a lot of bands giving concert kind of situation, but they weren't actually in the street. And then they also visited some folks who were in the process of making Rose Bowl floats and showed them. And then I guess they had put the word out on their media that they were looking for people throughout the United States of America to send in signs about good things that kind of had an American spin to them that were found in the United States of America. So lo and behold, on nationwide or worldwide TV last week, on Friday, January 1st, this picture appears during the Rose Bowl presentation. And it's this is a copy of it that was put on Facebook, but it's a picture of a nice-looking young lady who is standing down below with the Peace on Earth sign on a bike bridge immediately outside of City Hall, which faces Wilson Street. If you look north off the Wilson Street Bridge, this is what you see at the moment, with the nice letters that are up there. And Craig Fotos, the barber on East Wilson Street, has been on an ongoing campaign to enhance the appearance of this bridge, and he's got it named the Peace Bridge, and he's now raising money to put more significant lettering on it to enhance the words Peace on Earth. And so I just thought this was a kind of a fun thing that the Rose Bowl parade featured the Batavia Peace Bridge in all its grandeur and color. And I will tell you that within probably 5 minutes of this thing being shown, I got an email from a friend of mine in Memphis, Tennessee, who was joking with me that he just saw my bridge now on national TV and how I was bragging about Batavia. I said, well, I wasn't in it. But anyway, that's one of the things that we're very, very pleased about to report today, that we were on national TV with the Peace Bridge last week during the Rose Bowl parade. Now that takes me to another kind of fun story, Batavia, and I'm going to show this particular picture, which shows the sidewalk that has been built over off of Walnut Street, down behind Blaine, and going over to Morton, and then to Garfield, and then eventually to the campus of the Alice Gustafson School on Carlisle Road. Now this sidewalk was built on what was a former railroad right-of-way that ran through the far west side of Batavia for a number of years, and it came into Batavia up near the Campana plant and passed over and went through the, I guess it would be the west side of the Homestead campus, and then went down near Republic Road, and then passed right next to the old athletic field on Illinois Avenue, and then went down across Wilson Street and got down to Main Street, where it got itself near the Lingren's Foundry, Batavia Foundry complexes. And then it went further south and went down into the area in southwest Batavia, where for a number of years we had quite a greenhouse industry in Batavia. And we had several of them that were quite prominent. And what they used to do was that railroad cars would be brought in, and the line connected the Northwestern line in Geneva with the Burlington line in Aurora. And so the train would come in and it would maybe drop off a couple of cars that were then filled with products made in Batavia at the England Foundry or other places, and then they would be hauled away. Well, as things evolved here, come to find out, the folks that owned what was then called the Sycora Greenhouse, which later became, I believe, G&E on Walnut Street, they had relationships with another very large greenhouse in the Chicagoland area, and they were a grower place for several greenhouses in the region, and they would grow flowers and ship them out, or they would sell some of them in Batavia. But they also did a little work in flower development, I guess I would say, and they had a little laboratory in their greenhouse there. And then there was another greenhouse on Garfield near Harrison. It was originally Schatz, and then it became Spandau, and at the end it was the Schneider greenhouse. And they also were involved in some of these conversations. And one of the things that they found is that this was a great place to grow roses. And so they started growing very colorful roses, and they would bring in the railroad cars and fill them up on the second or third week in December, ship them down to Aurora and put them on the main Burlington line and take them out to California, where they were immediately put into the Rose Bowl parade as flowers on the floats. And I am told, once I figured all this out, I called some of the ancestors of these greenhouses, Roberta Kalina Hoover and Barb Gibas Kalina, and they both were sharing very nice stories about the family's involvement in growing roses for the Rose Bowl parade. And so I just think it's interesting. Today we have this safe walkway that's been built there that was really a product that had been long advocated going back to Second Ward aldermen like Chuck Beckman and Vic Dietz, and then it was picked up by Marty Callahan and Alan Wolf, and they really pushed the idea that we take the right-of-way and build this sidewalk on it. And so we've converted the old railroad track into this nice, safe sidewalk for kids to get to Gustafson School. But as they're walking on one of the more historic moments of Batavia. When you think about, we were a major contributor to the Rose Bowl parade. So we have a lot of kind of sidebar history stories, which I'd like to share. I've got some more to talk about in the days ahead. But I just wanted to think that this, because we got on the Rose Bowl ourselves with the bridge, and then we have the connection with Raising the Roses on the west side of Batavia, we've got a lot of history we should be very proud about and have a smile on our face as we talk about it. So that's my report for the week. Look forward to talking to you all next week, and have a good time as you go about in the winter months, but please stay safe.